In 1992, everybody, all the Crips, all the Bloods, after the rise, they was peaceful. The majority of them, rather. They came to the Pueblos, 4 trays was kissing the walls, kissing the ground. They couldn't believe it. The first time ever in their life in the Pueblos. It was thousands of motherfuckers in there. It was over 1,000 motherfuckers in the parking lot from 54th to 52nd. Super packed. Media was out there. Me and Bull, Capone Fire Travel Line, we talked, and I talked about my incident. I said, man, the dude that shot me, man, I could forgive him. You know what I'm saying? I could forgive him. And Bull was like, man, this shit is over with, man. We'd never go after one another. You know, but we agreed, you know, in general. We went to the PJs, we caravan to the PJs, you know, wasn't too much going on over there. We caravan to the Nixons, wasn't too much, you know. Then, you know, we took it back to the Pueblos. I mean, we was deep. I mean, everybody, man. You know, if you want to say the West Side, they may have been there, but it was motherfuckers from everywhere. So, what derived out of that, we came to the table. It was me, Phil Dillinger from Bloodstone Villain and one of his little homies. It was Dr. Dirt from my hood. It was Fat Dog from Fidus BGC. It was Ray from Fidus BGC. It was Q-Bomb from Fidus BGC. And it was the homie, I'm gonna say BC from Fire Travel Line. You know, and we met in the social hall in the Pueblos on 53rd and Holmes. And we agreed that we ain't tripping on each other, we much older now. But we peace and we got understanding. But we're gonna leave it up to the young homies. So the young homies had a meeting. Hey man, I'm not saying this just to be saying this, but man, the Broadways and the Avalons came to the Pueblos, the little homies in that same building, man. And them dudes, they took their blue shoestrings out of their shoes and put the black shoestrings in their shoes. They was serious with it. Like, we gonna really be at peace with each other. And them dudes went up in there and they talked, man. They said, you know, whatever they said, we wasn't in there because we said we not gonna allow ourselves to be in there. Y'all are the younger ones, y'all the foot soldiers, y'all come to that agreement. So they came out with agreement, you know, that they won't shoot at each other no more, they won't go at it with each other, nigga get passes, but you know, if you coming and you slipping through or whatever, nigga, you ain't gonna get caught up on both sides, but we gonna stay on each other's ends. We gonna keep it like that. That was the Avalons and Broadways. Now the villains, the homie Phil Dillinger got into it with one of his OG homies, and there was a dispute because a youngster from Villain went over there and basically he was at the meet and said something that was out of character, which caused the OG from Villain to get in conflict with Phil Dillinger because he thought he made the call. But see, like I told the homie Phil, and we were supporting him, I told the homie Phil from Villain, look man, your homies came over here after the peace treaty. It was C.K. Bell, Book, you know, the homie BC from Avalon, and they met with me and Dirt and another homie to start initiating this process. So it ain't like, you know, you was the sole responsibility of this initiative on the Villain side. They went over there on 56 and got at them dudes already, you know, about peace, and they said they got to check with their homies and see what's going on. But so you never made the decision, but you get into with your homie behind the youngster that's starting the subject of the meeting. But they kind of backed up out of it. They did go to a couple of football games at Avalon, at South Park. They was there, the Villains. A few of them came up there, you know, to see what was going on. But for the most part, they backed up out of it, and we kept moving forward. And we called our peace not a ceasefire, but permanent black peace. We agreed that we would never harm each other. That is the Pueblos, the Broadways, and the Avalons. So
25 years later, how's it working?
20, no problem.
No problem.
No problem. No problem. You know, they basically doing their thing, we doing our thing, but as far as any altercations or crossing out each other, never, none of that. It's, you know, and the homies wanted me from the Avalon side, and if you're on the Pueblo side, to definitely allude on that. There's zero problems between the Avalons, Broadways, and the Pueblos. You know, they Crips, we Bloods, they do their thing, we do our thing, but when we come across each other, it ain't nothing but respect. You know what I'm saying? Nothing but respect.
So when y'all hit up CK and they hit up BK, that don't offend nobody?
That it don't, because they living in their own zone. You know, and we in our zone. You know what I'm saying? We in our zone, and they in their zone. You know what I'm saying? So they don't write PBK, and we don't write AGCK or BGCK. So, you know, that's the villains and the Avalons and the Broadways. They do their stuff, and you know, Pueblos, you know, they do their stuff. You know, as far as the wall banging with the coaches at times, rarely, and you know, just in general, CK. You know, and we took a lot of losses to Pueblos, you know, from other blood neighborhoods, you know, deaths. And you know, the homies, the younger homies in the 90s felt like they was tired of the bullshit. So, you know, they had the ideology of CK, BK, anybody killer. Now the older homies, we never embraced that, but that generation in the 90s, a large majority of it did embrace that. But at the same time, you know, time changes and, you know, evolved was the war with the villains in the 38th Streets. And with the villain war in particular, that supposedly derived out of a botched robbery. You know, me personally, I'm not gonna buy into it. But people got their perspectives, and if they had the influence to cause the homies to intensify the war, or the villains had the influence to cause their homies to intensify the war behind that incident with homie Do Dirty, BSB, losing his life behind alleged robbery, and I emphasize alleged. You know, that's something that they have to, you know, deal with. But it affected my neighborhood and their neighborhood tremendously. There was key losses on both sides. You know, me personally, I made attempts with the OGs to reconcile that, but they had a death. And then I lost my wise brother, which is my brother-in-law, Damu, through the violence. I lost my homie, my wife's cousin, baby Studderbox in Compton, by a villain through the violence. My homegirl lost her son, Lil Tone, through the violence. We lost others through the violence. They lost they homie, which was a reputable, through the violence from villain. Other than Do Dirty, I think the homie name was, can't recall the name, but he was a reputable. He got killed in Compton. So they lost, and we lost. And there was no way of us winning. There was no way of them winning. It was gonna always be stagnated, and it's gonna be standstill because they know us like we know them. You know what I'm saying? We was intangible at one point. You know, but you know, they trying to commence a peace treaty now, and you're getting fierce objection from those within the penitentiary and some of those that's outside on the street. But the majority of the neighborhood and the Pueblos and the villain, they want this peace. But I always tell them, when it's peace, without a peace treaty, don't disturb it. If there's been no killings over the summer and in the spring, or no gunplay, don't disturb that peace. Because when you get to talking about, let's do some peace treaty, all you're doing is flaring up anger and hatred. And those that's suffering behind it and lost lives, or those that inside the penitentiary doing life behind that war, the anger start coming up out of them, and they start conveying it back on the streets.
What's the relationship like with F-13?
You know, back in the 70s, we had conflict with them. Nothing major, because they used to ally with the East Coasters. So it wasn't nothing major, but that we lost a life through some retaliation back in the late 70s. One of the homies got killed on a motorcycle, you know, coming over the cop, and they came back and killed one of our homies. But it never went farther than that. With the 38th Streets, you know, they lost some and we lost some. So before that war kicked off, you know, they was part of our allies in the late 70s and the early 80s.
So F-13 don't get along with 38. But y'all all right with F-13 now? What about BSV and F-13?
We always kind of been all right with the Florence. There ain't never been no issue. That was just like in the late 70s. That was like a
right. But what about BSV?
And F-13?
Yeah.
That, from my understanding, they don't beef. Yeah. Just the BSVs.
So
the Florences don't beef.
Firestone, they really just on some East Coast killer shit.
Yeah, they on the East Coast, and they beef with the non-Jews bishops.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there's little things going on that end, and they beef with most of the watch gangs, you know, the Mexican gangs. But for the most part, you know, it's mutual between the Pueblos and the Florences. Right. You know, yeah.
So shit, I don't know what else.
Well, you know, I just want to basically conclude by saying, you know, you have individuals that do what I'm doing with you to get recognition or to get media attention or to get their perspective out. There are many different perspectives. Can't no one person impose their perspective unilaterally. There's perspectives that distort the story. There's perspectives that give vast majority of the truth to the story. And there's perspectives that not only just distort or flat out lies about the stories. Whether you talking about the history of rival gangs to the Crips in the 70s and the history of rival gangs to the Crips, which became the Bloods in the late 70s on up. You know, a lot of people don't want to acknowledge the historical nature of their neighborhoods because they feel that it would denigrate their hood status. People don't want to be revealing of certain aspects of what goes on in their neighborhood. So I just highly recommend to those, whether they are interviewing with you or anyone, to keep it clear and to keep it precise and to keep it, for the most part, respectful, because you're not going to benefit by distorting or undermining someone's character or some hood reputation, because what you see from your perspective is what you feel you have to get out. You know, a lot of people, like when you write a book, they are basically a span with a lot of fabrications. But when you're doing interviews, everybody looking at you. They looking at me, you know. And I just want to say to the audience, be careful how you decipher disinformation or any information, because it's important that you interpretate it the way you can compare it with other interpretations, and you will get your right answer. If there's different interpretations, then somebody lying.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So the key is, and to conclude, is just, you know, read into what we're saying to you, and, you know, take it, and this is also study material, because you might have to do something in college or whatever, you know, and just really decipher the information. And to conclude, those that do the interview, I just want to say this. With Kev, or even with streetgangs.com, don't incriminate yourself. Don't.
We don't want no incriminating material.
Exactly.
Look, this is what people need to understand. Some people give their story from their eyes, from their situation. You know, maybe they was on the front porch. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they only witnessed the shit from a school ground or in juvenile hall.
Right.
And some people give the historical aspect, and a lot of people get that confused.
Exactly.
So when there's a guy that's saying such and such was his big homie, that's him. He's not saying who founded a neighborhood or who started a neighborhood. He's giving you what he's seen. He's not giving you from day one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's true.
So that causes a lot of confusion too.
Right. And it's very important what you said, Mac. It's key that they register that and take that in deep consideration, because it'll be disagreements, whether for what I said or what others say, and it'll be people concurring for what I said, what others say. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm here just to lay it out and to give it to you from what not what I seen on the porch or what I seen from a perimeter, but with me being involved as a member of my neighborhood, and as me seeing what I seen and me being there with my own eyes and being a part of that, and it's key, because if I don't know, I'm gonna say I don't know.
Right.
If I can't talk about what happened in 71, 72, 70, based on me talking to others, I can just elaborate on their perspective. But I could talk about what I went through.
Right, what you participated
in. What I participated in. So it's key that, you know, people need to really pay attention with what others say, because it's a lot of distortion that's going on out there. And I don't want to get into the details, but
some information is more critical than others.
Yeah.
But some is nothing, and people make a big deal out of it. So it is key, and it's very important to pay attention to the information that you receive.
Definitely. And thank you for allowing me to conduct this interview. That concludes.
Ain't no doubt.
So the reason why I'm the triple OG, because I've been frog since '72. Johnny Westbrook been frog since '78. My brother Dwayne been frog since '79. And Bill Heavy Frog been frog probably since the early '80s.